at the episode 3 of Behind the Couch, and we're going to be tackling some more topics that tackle what we can do about harassments of mental health professionals, be it a psychologist, be it a psychiatrist, or be it anything. I feel like we need to talk about this more and more so that Sanskriti, just stop. I don't know what you're playing at. I'll be taking up certain topics that include digital harassment strategies and how we can tackle those strategies. Like, I have been sitting down and watching a lot of serial killer documentaries to understand how these people are making such strategies. I'll also be going towards the fact that what are some threats to confidentiality. I touched the topic of very briefly though that some clients feel very entitled. Today I'm going to talk about it in depth. I'm going to talk about the confidentiality issues in depth, and of course what are some systemic harassment structures that people have made. I'm going to be putting it all out there, the psychology behind everything. All right. Welcome everybody. Let's go about it quickly because last time we didn't have a lot of time. How does my filter look today? Do I look a little bit natural?
Yeah, so much natural.
Okay, so Heena ma'am, my first question to you is, what role do colleagues play in supporting others when it comes to harassment?
That's actually a very perfect question because colleagues play a vital role. Trust me when I'm saying this. Because see, when something like this happens, especially in our profession, where to go? There is nothing. Again, I will say it in every life. There is no place to go. There are some laws, but colleagues, yes. When we talk to colleagues about the similar kind of experiences, they will share how they have dealt with it and about certain policies which we are not aware. They can tell us, okay, you can go about it this way, right? And peer support groups we have these days, and I want people to understand this thing, that the young therapists especially, that you can gain that support from your peers, from your colleagues, from your fellow therapists in our field, and that will help you in long run. Why? Because there you can express yourself, and they can just be there and they can just tell you a few things like how to document such things, how to record that incident if something like this happen again, if someone does this, does that, then how to react. Sometimes I'm not aware about boundaries. I used to be very bad in the beginning. I have learned it from many of the fellow therapists on Instagram. So we teach each other, right? We tell each other kaise karna hai, how to maintain that decorum, how to go about it, And one other thing that colleagues can do, keep an eye, keep in check on you, because harassment is not one time go. Still that Aditya have not left MHP, not left any of us. Sorry, I'm reminding you again because I got a text again. I'm sorry, I got a text again, and I'm the new member after happening this thing. Still he is, after MHP. So harassment is not one time shot. It goes on.
Because I kept saying, please pay the previous psychologist first.
Yeah. So it goes on and on.
Can you imagine? We talked about him in the first episode, and he had the guts to message both
that
of them
audacity.
after the lives.
Yeah.
That are you free, or can I, like, what are your timings and all? Can you imagine the guts?
So
my God.
What is this? It's the constant harassment which is going on because in a way किसी को नहीं लगता होगा जिसने नहीं झेला ये, मेरे जैसे इंसान ने नहीं झेली है ये चीज. But after being part of MHP, I have seen many who are going through this, and after knowing Sanskriti's experience one-on-one, I can now imagine, because that person is reaching out to every one of us, right? And there are many like them. And this constant going on process now, this can hamper your therapeutic skills also, sometimes your therapeutic energy. आप उस energy से जा ही नहीं पाओगे अपने sessions में. So colleagues का क्या role है यहाँ पे? To support you, to to be there with you, to keep just a phone call, just a text, to ask how are you dealing with this, how something happened with me few days back. Many of you reached out and asked, those who I don't know even, though it was from a student, but I'm glad I'm putting it out here, and many of them reached out कि मैम जस्ट ये पूछना था आप ठीक हो, because everybody knows that कौन किस level पे है. So
okay, Heena,
constant support.
I'm gonna request you to keep the answers short today because we have a lot of things to cover.
Yeah.
And
so next question. Shoot the next question, please.
Yes,
Okay.
Sanskriti, you had a question for her.
Yeah. So, ma'am, I wanted to ask you, how do we navigate sexualized comments or behavior from clients without jeopardizing our therapeutic relationship?
That's a very tough thing, actually.
Yeah.
We all have been there. We all have experienced, but because there are company norms, there are certain policies we can't breach at the first. We are not able to understand कि हो क्या रहा है, right? First we need to understand. We need to recognize those red flags कि कहाँ पे बंदा गलत जा रहा है, where the person is just going out of the way and just sexualizing everything there. Maybe we can try to redirect the conversation. Maybe we can try to come back to the point where we were discussing the things. Sometimes we can even, clarify the things that, okay, you're here for this purpose and don't go beyond that. Clarifying the boundaries, things. Maybe out, after the rapport building, they just go on and on and on and on. But no. Many a times, after even clarifying the policies and everything, we have to shut them off because वो नहीं रुक रहे हैं. They're not understanding क्या चल रहा है. We have to shut them off. And one more thing I want to share here, that many other things we can do, like identify their behavior, their body language also. किस तरीके से वो बात कर रहे हैं, किस तरीके से वो आपको देख रहे हैं. Sometimes, especially with the male clients, when the female therapist is there, and also with that discussion in supervision and exit policies, unko batana ki okay, this is the thing we have to end here, and maybe sometimes we can refer also. I know we don't want to refer such clients to our fellow therapists, but sometimes many are expert in this thing, so we can do that many a times. Other than this, there is one more thing I want to share here. Last thing, maintain professionalism, because anyhow, maybe sometimes therapist can also feel something for the client. Many a times,
Yeah,
female,
we
male,
also
छोड़
get
दो,
triggered.
सबको.
We are humans.
Because we are human, right? Yes. So maintain professionalism because you are here for certain things and आपका काम क्या है वो आपको याद रखना है. आपने कोई ओथ नहीं ली डॉक्टर्स की तरह, बट आपने एक ओथ ली है अपने आप के साथ कि आप थेरेप्यूटिक प्रोसेस में कैसे डील करोगे क्लाइंट के साथ. इट विल नॉट इंक्रीज योर रिटेंशन रेट अगर आप उनको गलत तरीके से इंटरेक्ट कर रहे हो उनके साथ, या फिर ओवर फ्रेंडली होकर. तो इन दिस आई वांट दैट थिंग टू टेल एवरीवन ऑफ द पीपल हु इज गोना सी दिस. यस.
Okay, so next question would be, what are the steps that a therapist can take to report harassment, and how to navigate organizational policies and legal channels effectively?
या सो बेसिकली अभी हम बात ही कर रहे थे ना कि लीगल पॉलिसीज है, तो नहीं पता, मुझे भी नहीं पता, तुम्हें भी नहीं. मुझे बहुत सारी चीजें आकृति से एमएचपी से कनेक्ट होने के बाद समझ में अच्छा ऐसा भी होता है क्या. वी हैव दीज राइट्स about the POSH Act and the ICC thing, that okay, internal committee होती है एक who deal with such things. So you have to be very vigilant and you have to see कि आपके एरिया के अकॉर्डिंग, आपके जुडिशरी सिस्टम के अकॉर्डिंग वहां पे क्या लॉज हैं, एंड यू हैव टू बी वेरी मच अपडेट योर सेल्फ. आप अपडेट नहीं करोगे अपने आप को तो लाइक पीपल लाइक मी पिछड़ जाओगे आप. पीछे रह जाओगे. अभी harassment हो रहा है तो आप पुराने वाले रूल्स नहीं अप्लाई कर सकते हो उन पे, राइट? यू हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड द करंट लॉज, द करंट पॉलिसीज. हाउ कैन यू टेक हेल्प फ्रॉम योर लॉयर्स, right? And also with that, when you're working in an organization, again HR team is there, right? You have to seek support to them. You have to tell them ये हो रहा है आपके साथ सेशंस के अंदर, and कैसे वो आपकी हेल्प कर सकते हैं. How can you report this thing, right? Because अकेले आपके करने से कुछ नहीं होगा, right? तो एक तो ये चीज है, और इसके साथ साथ एक चीज और है कि where possible take support of police and the system, because sometimes like last time हमने बात की थी कि physically कुछ ऐसा हो रहा है तो क्या करें. हम सब
We
guards
have
afford
more
नहीं कर सकते.
questions related to that,
Yeah,
don't worry.
yeah.
Karthik is asking, what if the boss or the senior most person is the one harassing colleagues? How can we go about it with the fear of losing our job? See, if you are being harassed at a job, why stay at that job? Question number one.
Yeah.
Companies की कमी नहीं है कहीं बाहर. It may take time to switch from one job to another, but it happens. Also, we discussed the POSH Act and the IPC Acts. So you can report your boss as well. First thing is to always go to your HR. If there is an organizational psychologist there, the psychologist can make the right call after it. And yeah, just report it and move on. No need to dwell on a job that is harassing you physically,
Yeah.
mentally, emotionally, anywhere. Okay, so Hina ma'am, I have my next question for you. That how is supervision a good tool to regulate the emotions when it comes to harassment, or at least help the psychologists?
See, supervision is very, very, very critical and most important resource in these kind of things, and managing those tough emotions. You can't tell to everyone out there कि क्या हुआ आपके साथ. Maybe sometimes you get harassed in DMs also in WhatsApp, like कहीं पे भी पहुंच जाते हैं ऐसे लोग. They send you mails about abusive words and so sexualizing things and etc. So there, discussing harassment openly can play a vital role. Why? Because देखो आप supervision में अगर discuss नहीं करोगे तो supervisor will not be able to help you, right? And openly discuss करना is very important because they are the supervisor and they are much more experienced, so they'll be able to help you. They'll be able to guide you कि करना क्या है आगे, how to proceed, right? And with that, seek emotional support. There is no harm. There is no harm in seeking emotional support. Sometimes we think, in current scenario, people are too much practical. So emotionally, we are not trying to be dependent on anyone. But emotionally vulnerable hona at such places where you are in supervision or in therapy process is totally fine. That is why you are there for, right? The purpose, sole purpose is that, right? And with that, get guidance from your supervisor, right? Get guidance of every tiny thing. Whatever you have in your mind, ask it out. Ask it freely and seek that knowledge and that experience, that okay, what they have in them, and they can maybe certain policies जिनकी मैंने अभी बात की, maybe you can get to know within your supervisor, and sometimes they can lead your case to the HRs also sometimes, because you're not able to. मुझे नहीं आता रिपोर्ट करना. I'll tell to my supervisor and he will help me. Sorry, I'm saying he because my supervisor is he. So so you can tell your supervisor and they can literally guide you to go to the HR. कैसे करना है, क्या पेपर्स लगेंगे, क्या होगा, नहीं पता भाई. So there is a senior person, take support ना. And with that, one last thing, confidentiality की बात जो हम करते हैं therapy process में, supervision में, this is not going to breach anywhere. No one else gonna know. So pour it out, everything. Just कर दो सब कुछ वहाँ पे खत्म. When sometimes we are holding it, तब भी बहुत trouble होती. You have to put it out somewhere, like we do with Akriti many a times. So these things we can do in the supervision also. She's also playing the part of supervisor, though she is very young. Yeah, many a times for us. And also with navigating policies and everything, therapeutic impact जो आपका होता है, उसको कौन evaluate कर सकता है सबसे better? Supervisor, because they know कि अब पहले कैसे कर रहे थे, अभी आप इमोशनली वल्नरेबल हो, हर्ट हो, harassed हो, तो what are the changes they are seeing, and they can then tell you how to process it, because process करना तो जरूरी है. Holding on will never lead you anywhere, right? This is it. I can tell you for now.
Okay, ma'am. One last question for you is we touched upon this a little bit on the last live, but
Hmm.
audience really wants to know this from you. What role does gender expectations and stereotypes play in the harassments that therapists face? And how do we navigate it?
We are being seeing this gender plays a major role, major role. I'm not here victimizing myself कि okay मैं फीमेल हूँ तो मैं ज्यादा harass होंगी, कोई मेल है तो नहीं होगा, but ये होता है because we are liable somehow. Society think that way कि ये तो फीमेल है, ये तो क्या ही कर लेगी, right? Maybe sometimes क्या होता है कि जो gender stereotypes है ना, like मेल थेरेपिस्ट जो हैं, दे आर एक्सपेक्टेड टू हैंडल एग्रेशन अच्छे से,
Yeah.
क्योंकि वो तो अग्रेशन तो उनकी पर्सनैलिटी का पार्ट है. सो दे आर एबल टू, मेनी ऑफ देम आर नॉट अग्रेसिव बट स्टिल दे आर लायबल टू डू दैट थिंग. व्हाई? This is also again a stereotype.
Okay,
With
I
that,
need to ask you something regarding that. Like, I need to cut you in the. लड़कियां बहुत बदनाम है ना अग्रेसिव होने के लिए, हर रिलेशनशिप में लड़ती है फालतू में, हर बारी क्या कहते हैं कलेश करती है. तो
हाँ,
how is
कलेश,
the
right
stereotype
word.
of only men being able to deal with aggression is coming
I
up?
don't know. If see, with the age and experience and everything, I can say that like these are these jokes and memes are there ना कि कलेशी होती हैं औरतें, right? If you ask anybody जो बहुत लंबे समय से relationship में है ना, they will be able to answer you ऐसा नहीं होता है, right?
Yeah,
अभी होते
Males
हैं
are
कलेश, मैं
exactly.
बता रही हूँ.
right. So this is just again one prejudice कि ठीक है चलता आ रहा है तो वैसे ही चल रहा है. अदरवाइज इट्स नॉट लाइक दैट कि मेल अग्रेसिव है. सी आई एम अ वेरी अग्रेसिव पर्सन. बिफोर मैरिज आई वाज वेरी अग्रेसिव, बट व्हेन आई गॉट द सेम टेम्परामेंट का इंसान, तो आई बिकम लिटिल काम. एंड आई एम सेइंग इट ओपनली, आई बिकम काम. विद हिम आई एम काम जब तक चलता है, जब नहीं होता है तो आई बूम ब्लास्ट होता है फिर वो. सो इट डिपेंड्स ऑन योर पर्सनैलिटी. जेंडर से इसका कोई लेना देना नहीं है. ऐसा कोई वायर फिक्स नहीं करते कि फीमेल है तो ज्यादा अग्रेसिव हो जाएगी और अगर मेल बॉर्न हुआ है तो हैंडल कर लेगा या वो ज्यादा अग्रेसिव है. दिस इज जस्ट मे बी बिकॉज मेल्स आर मोर स्ट्रॉन्ग एंड मोर क्वाइट and more introvert, most of them. I'm not generalizing again. Maybe this norm is because of that.
See, yeah,
It
I
can be.
just want to add on this a little bit. Like, if you are being aggressive, if you feel like your girlfriend is being aggressive, just know that somewhere communication is not working.
Yeah.
So
no,
that
no,
is why
I think
the
oh, it's about food.
yeah, if you're
Yeah.
hungry,
Yeah.
then you're gonna be aggressive,
Yes.
and
Yes.
you somehow feel that your voice is not being reached to the person. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's why
I
we
was
raised the
kidding,
voice.
guys. It's not always about food, but it calms you
Hmm.
down.
With that, coming back to the question which Sanskriti asked, stereotypes around male emotions, which अभी हमने डिस्कस किया ना कि सी लैक ऑफ एम्पैथी क्यों हम एक अप्रोच रखते हैं कि मेल थेरेपिस्ट में होगी, फीमेल है ये तो एम्पैथाइज करेंगी. आई हैव मैनी थेरेपिस्ट फ्रेंड्स फीमेल्स एंड इवन द स्टूडेंट्स ऑल्सो जो कहते हैं कि मैम एम्पैथी ही एक ऐसी चीज है जिसको अडेप्ट करना मुश्किल लग रहा है, बाकी तो सब हम कर लेंगे. बट बिफोर स्टार्टिंग प्रैक्टिसिंग फीमेल्स एंड पीपल अज्यूम दैट कि ये तो फीमेल है, ये तो सेंसिटिव है, ये तो समझेंगी. एंड देन मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम अभी सिनेरियो इज चेंज्ड. मैनी ग्रेट मेल प्रोफेशनल्स वी हैव, बट थोड़ा टाइम पहले तक व्हेन वी वर स्टडिंग, फीमेल थेरेपिस्ट को प्रेफर करते थे लोग. व्हाई? बिकॉज इमोशनली दे आर मोर वल्नरेबल एंड एम्पैथी सिंपैथी जो भी उनको समझ में आता था ले पीपल को कि दे विल बी एबल टू गिव अस, राइट, दे विल बी एबल टू अंडरस्टैंड आवर इमोशंस. मेल नहीं समझेंगे, ऐसा नहीं होता भाई. इफ यू आर क्वालिफाइड इनफ, इफ यू हैव सर्टन स्किल्स, आपने सीखे हैं, आपने पूरी ट्रेनिंग ली है, तो मेल हो या फीमेल, you can empathize. कोई भी हो, ऐसा कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता, राइट? विद दैट क्लाइंट की जो जेंडर प्रेफरेंस होती है कि यू नो many males, again I'm not gonna name anybody, they'll say, मुझे तो फीमेल थेरेपिस्ट ही चाहिए, राइट? मुझे तो आप ही चाहिए, मेल का प्रेफरेंस नहीं है, मैं नहीं, मेल है वो खुद नहीं जाना उनको मेल थेरेपिस्ट के पास, भरे पड़े हैं हमारे पास एग्जाम्पल्स, हम कितने
There
एग्जाम्पल्स
are
दें,
two
राइट?
types of people. एक तो वो होते हैं कि आदमी ही आदमी को समझ सकता है, एक वो
हाँ,
होते हैं
ये भी है,
औरत बहुत अंडरस्टैंडिंग होती है, बहुत केयरिंग होती है. तो आई थिंक आई वुड रादर हैव अ फीमेल थेरेपिस्ट. एंड द अदर कैटेगरी इज द हरासर्स, आई थिंक, जो हमें टारगेट कर रहे हैं. बट आई फोकस ऑन द साइकोलॉजी बिहाइंड इट व्हेन यू विल
या
आस्क मी
बट
एनीथिंग.
थैंक यू, तुमने ये बोला ना कि आदमी को आदमी समझ सकता है. बीइंग अ पर्सन वर्किंग ऑन मेंस मेंटल हेल्थ, हर रोज सुनती हूँ मैं ये बात. क्यों कर रहे हो? आपको क्या लगता है आप मेल्स को समझो? आप कैसे कहते हो आपके इतने क्लाइंट्स मेल हैं? ओनली आदमी ही समझेगा आदमी को. आप रहने दो, उनको करने दो. यू वर्क ऑन फीमेल्स और जनरली आप काम करो. मेंस मेंटल हेल्थ का मोर्चा लेके क्यों निकले हो? सो
Just a
आई टेल टू देम, या
Vishwas, sorry, Vanshi was bored. Oh, I'm so
बोर्ड
sorry. I'm so technologically challenged.
and the
Hi,
link.
just leave it in the live ends. I'll be sure to send the form to you in the DMs if you're not able to access it here.
Yeah, yeah, we'll send it. Yeah. With that, one more thing, male therapist and lack of vulnerability. Because इंट्रोवर्ट हैं, क्वाइट हैं, कम बोलेंगे, एक्सप्रेस तो खुद तो कर नहीं पाते, हमें क्या समझेंगे? बिगेस्ट 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 स्टिग्मा, बिगेस्ट प्रेजुडिस गोइंग अराउंड. आई हैव मेल थेरेपिस्ट फ्रेंड्स जो मुझसे भी ज्यादा बोलते हैं, मुझसे भी ज्यादा वल्नरेबल हैं. दे आर लाइक, कुछ भी होता है इमिडिएटली, मतलब उनको बताना है कि अरे आज यार ये हुआ सेशन में, अरे घर पे ये हुआ. सो इट्स अगेन अ प्रेजुडिस, अगेन अ जेंडर बेस्ड स्टीरियोटाइप, जिसको हम लोग पता नहीं कब तक लड़ते रहेंगे जिसके लिए. एंड अगेन वन मोर थिंग, जो जेंडर डायनामिक्स हैं, इसका जो इम्पैक्ट है हमारी थेरेपी पे क्यों पड़ता है? क्योंकि सी इट क्रिएट टेंशन बिटवीन थेरेपिस्ट एंड क्लाइंट. अगर मुझे किसी क्लाइंट ने ये बोल दिया कि आप क्यों मेंस मेंटल हेल्थ पे काम कर रहे हो, मेल है, एंड फिर ही ऑल्सो बुक अ सेशन विद मी, माइंड में यही चलता रहेगा कि यार इसने ये बोला था, यही चलता रहेगा मेरे, में नहीं निकाल पाऊंगी चाहकर भी. एंड this thing impact the relationship, the connection, the rapport we built there. And I don't think मेरे जो retention rates मेरे हैं बाकी therapeutic processes में, session में या मेरे काम में, वो वहाँ मैं दे पाऊंगी पूरी तरह से, right?
Heena ma'am, I'm going to request you one last time, 20 minutes per person. Please stick to that.
Yeah.
We also have a lot of questions for Sanskriti, so let's begin with that, Heena ma'am. Otherwise, it will be like last time, कुछ cover नहीं हो पाएगा.
cover नहीं हो पाएगा. I'm done.
हाँ जी. So you had certain questions for Sanskriti, your sisters here.
Oh, hi.
Okay.
Hi,
So I
Akriti
should,
from Akriti.
hello.
Okay.
Yeah.
Karthik will be sure to answer this question once we are done with Sanskriti.
Alright.
Okay, yes, you had some questions.
So I must go ahead. Yeah. So Sanskriti, I want to ask one thing. What are the common workplace bullying tactics?
Yeah. So, workplace bullying might include like silent treatment, basically. So, I talked about this last time. Like, if you go into a room and two colleagues are talking, and then you enter, and then there's nothing, they go silent. Or there can be another major one is that you are excluded from making important decisions for the company. So, for example, if there is a decision to be made on behalf of the company, you specifically are being excluded from it. This is also bullying. Like at MHP, for example, we were hiring this time for new members, and our founder, she didn't take the decision alone. She put it out on our common group, and everyone was a part of it. So we all got to vote in on who we think should join, who can be included in the process. So this is something that you have to look out for. If you are being excluded from the important decisions, that is called bullying as well. Another thing would be being overloaded with nonsensical work like admin work instead of your real job which you're there for. And
संस्कृति मुझे
this
गाली दे दो
happened.
क्या आप मन में?
No, why? You don't give me admin work. I ask you
You
for
don't,
more work when I'm bored.
yeah, you don't do that. उसके लिए गालियाँ नहीं
Yeah,
God,
मिलेंगी.
she's done so much admin work with me.
yeah, yeah, but I ask you for it, no, because I can't stay still without work, so that's a different thing. But if your
Yeah.
boss is giving you nonsensical work, admin work, like something that is out of your job profile, and which is keeping you from your real job, that's the main thing. Which
Yeah.
you don't have time for your clients. You are so overloaded with admin work. This happened in my last job. I was literally printing flyers all day and working on the website and making sales calls. So I didn't have time for my real clients. And
Oh,
yeah, that's a red flag. So that is
big
also
red flag.
called bullying. Yeah,
Yeah.
another
Thank.
one. Sorry, just one last one, which is happening these days is people, managers keeping tabs on your offline presence, online presence. So your social media accounts are being looked into, and they are used as a reason for your not working. So basically, they will say comments like, "Oh, I saw your picture. You were roaming around at a cafe, that's why you don't have time for work or something, even though you are working, but they are just using your digital presence. That is also bullying. Yeah.
Yeah, that is a different level of bullying actually. And thank you for this answer. I think many of them will get, to know so much from this one. And there is another question that how do you address cyberbullying from colleagues? I basically want to know it personally. I'll tell you later why.
Okay. So cyberbullying
Time.
can cyberbullying can happen when for example, I think many of you can relate to this. Someone in your group, like 3, 4 people, have a WhatsApp group excluding you, and they are talking about your team or you specifically, and they are gossiping. So this is bullying people. This is not normal. So if you're aware of this, make a stop, like get it to stop. So people are forming other groups and talking about you behind your back, or sending you threatening emails, not threatening but passive aggressive emails. This is also cyberbullying. And one thing that you can do to counteract this is just make a documentation of everything, keep screenshots, leave a digital trail of everything, so that if escalates, then you can take it to the authorities and they will have proper documentation of what happened. Because cyberbullying can be addressed more efficiently because we have screenshots now.
Ah, okay, Sanskriti, what if I start gaslighting you? What are you gonna do about it?
Okay, yeah, because this happens a lot. If you complain about harassment to your manager, they will gaslight you sometimes that you are making it a big deal. It's not a big deal, or you should have addressed it in some other way. So executives do this a lot, and just know that that's not okay. You can. So last time we talked about microaggressions and how they can be. Sorry, there's a lot of background noise.
There is disturbance coming from someone's end.
Yeah.
Is it from my end?
I think, yeah.
My.
Yeah, so microaggressions. We talked about it last time, and I talked about how it can sometimes lead people to say that you're being overly sensitive, and it's not a big deal. So this is gaslighting. We psychologists especially know what gaslighting is. It's like putting the blame on someone else. So they do that, and if institutes are doing that, call them out. If your manager or your HR is not taking your complaint seriously, that is not okay. So one thing that you can do about this is bystander training. So your colleagues can be trained to see how this happens, to identify it and then report it as a unified whole. So all of you stand up against the bullying.
Hmm.
This is very important. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Thank you.
I also want to ask about a couple of more things. What if there is covert intimidation from the organization or from your boss or from your colleagues, and uh, what when there is lack of organizational support as a whole? The HR is not gonna tell you anything or help you with anything. The management is not fit for it. The management also sucks big time. Big guy hai sare. Big guy hai ye government. So what with the covert options and the overt unsupport?
Yeah. So, covert intimidation can look something like your boss threatening your job security. So, literally threatening you that you might lose your job if you don't do this work, or overloading you with uh, unmanageable caseload. So you have, say, 10 clients a day. Okay, 10 is too much. 8 clients a day. And you cannot literally finish all of that. It's not a realistic target. And the boss is constantly, on purpose, giving you too much work that you just cannot do and then threatening you with it, that you might lose your job. So this is covert intimidation. This also your colleagues can help you identify and speak up and talk to them. For the next question you had about support from organization, if they are not responding, if the HR, if you have an HR and they're not responding, then first, like Akriti said, leave the job. Don't stay in a job that is toxic, that won't stand up for you, that won't take you seriously, that impedes on your rights as an employee. Another thing that Akriti and I are a fan of is LinkedIn. Go talk, go speak up on LinkedIn and rant about your organization. Bring everyone up to date on how how your organization is being unfair. And trust me, you will have support from the community. This is it's something upcoming. It's happening a lot, and some people are brought to justice because of that. If that doesn't work, form an alliance or a unity or something, union. In When I worked in Canada, we used to have a union of employees. So if there was any such issues, we used to just go to them. But see what there is in your community related to employee unions, and your colleagues can definitely help you. But all in all, to conclude my topic, keep screenshots, keep a digital trail of everything. Um, have a good support system from your colleagues so that they can support you, and try to identify the illegal or unusual covert intimidation techniques or bullying techniques, and speak up. Don't don't stay quiet. Don't let it hinder your mental health. If you do, come to us, we will help you.
Which reminds me, guys, class action suit against Council India.
Oh, yeah.
You have been scammed by it, or you know someone who has been scammed by it, just make your union, do a class action. It is very much required.
Yes, very needed.
Uh,
Council India has scammed so many people. It's heartbreaking to see people fall for it and lose so much money, time, and effort over it. It's very annoying. We hate it.
okay.
Okay, Akriti, over to you. I have some questions for you now. So first is what strategies can counter digital harassment?
Yeah, देखो, first and foremost, please understand the red flags in the Gen Z language, like we say red flags. Even if it's not a red flag, even if it's a pink flag, white flag, whatever flag, understand how serious that is. Understand अगर फेक अकाउंट लग रहा है मत लो भाई, उन्हें बोलो अपने रियल अकाउंट से करें या जाके फॉर्म फिल करें. Read the form, understand the issues, and if you still feel like you are not the right expert for it, please refer, please refer, please refer, especially in sexual cases. Give it to a sexologist for all I care. If the sexologist still feels that a psychologist is required, कर लो. अगर expertise है, नहीं है तो दे दो किसी और को भाई. अपना दिमाग मत फंसाओ इस सब चीजों में. But another thing that is very very important is uh, empathy. Understand being in their place, reaching out to you for something, and then understand if it's the right call to take therapy right now or not. As simple as that. जब तक तुम खुद को दूसरों के शूज में नहीं रखोगे, you won't understand if it's harassment or not. Very simple, very clear. मेरा हो गया.
Okay. Next one is how do you handle client entitlement issues?
I talked about it last time. They feel very, very entitled. They feel that they know everything, and सब कुछ तो Google पे है. So why are we coming here? So a lot of times I have replied to my clients that, देखो भाई, I know सब कुछ Google पे है, yet you still have paid me to listen to me. So listen to me. Sometimes I have to be very firm and direct about it. Sometimes I have to be a little sugar coated about it, but you have to say it. And sometimes what happens is they try to fool you. They'll come up with a fake problem. They'll come up with something, and I know from inside that it's a fake thing. And sometimes they're able to fake it very well also. So in that case, it's their loss, right? It's your earnings at the end of the day.
Yeah.
बाउंड्री मेकिंग बोलना बहुत आसान है और करना बहुत डिफिकल्ट है इन केसेस में. इफ you try to make a boundary with a client in especially when it comes to the thin line between problem and harassment, the client might end up thinking that you're being rude, that you're not understanding their perspective, when especially it's not about harassment. And when it's about harassment, they're gonna leave you, or they're gonna at least try to harass you. When it does not work, they're gonna shift to someone else. So you need to make the client realize at the end of the day that, look, we are the experts, we are the ones जो इतने सालों से पढ़ रहे हैं, किताबों में अपना दिमाग फोड़ रहे हैं, नेट के एग्जाम के लिए एवोल्यूशन ऑफ कंप्यूटर पढ़ रहे हैं, कोडिंग पढ़ रहे हैं, पता नहीं क्या क्या for some reason. But and you are somebody who might have some knowledge about it, but we have been trained about these things. So understand that you have invested in something, so be calm, be patient, and listen to us. That's about it. Worked on Arabs.
Okay. Next one is how can threats to confidentiality be managed?
This is one of the biggest issues I had with the Arabs during my supervision. Um, Again, it's about their PR a lot of times. I've dealt with a few famous ones. I wouldn't say they're very famous here in India, but they were a thing.
Yeah.
They were the rich, entitled people. So वो आकर बोलते हैं like I told last time कि आओ हमारा confidentiality agreement तुम भी sign करो. So it poses a threat to you as well कि यार तुम मेरा NDA sign कर रहे हो तो मैं तुम्हारा क्यों करूँ. Another thing is that they come with fake names, this and that, but how you deal with it is you read every single word that there is in their contract. Read, understand. If you feel like this document will protect your client at the end of the day, go ahead, sign it. And it protects you as well. Sign. But if you feel like it will put you in a very tricky position, don't sign any form, no matter how much money the other person is giving. Trust me, it's not worth it. क्योंकि जाना लास्ट में जेल में वो पैसे कहीं काम नहीं आएंगे, बेल मनी भी नहीं निकल पाएगा. So that is pretty much how you deal with the confidentiality. तो बहुत clients को confidentiality issues उस चीज में आते हैं that okay, sometimes it's the first session, तुम किसी को बताना दो. It's with young adults, say from 16 to 22. That is the biggest age range जहाँ पे उनको होता है कि what if you tell my parents. Now obviously below 18 you have to. Even sometimes when they're 18 and 19 they don't have that kind of a maturity and you're stuck. Yeah, shit. This is somewhere we have to inform the parents, and somewhere we if we take permission from the client, it's not gonna end well. They're not gonna allow. So आप अपने ethics के बीच में खो जाते हो. वो confidentiality फिर आपको maintain करना ही पड़ता है. But you have to convince your client कि यार देखो अब तो बताना ही पड़ेगा. क्या करोगे इतना ड्रग्स करके सड़क पे मिलोगे. This is just an example. I've dealt with this, so that's why I gave this. Pretty much that's it from my end.
Okay. How can therapists defend themselves against credibility attacks?
तो उसके लिए credible बनो.
Yeah.
The easiest answer is be credible, but how to be credible is you need to establish trust not only with your clients but within your network. अगर आपको ऐसा लगता है कि just sitting with your client making money ठीक है हो जाएगा हमारा नाम बन जाएगा, this is pretty much why we network. This is why we listen to others. Like today I read a post by Udajit where he called out that ADHD chick who made that comment via pop psychology with the misinformation. Now, a lot of psychologists do not accept criticism, be it constructive or not. Feedback तुम्हें understand करना ही पड़ेगा. If somebody is saying that IAOTH is not a valid accreditation, understand it. तुम 6 certificates कर लो, उस पे मैं नहीं hire करने वाली. Because उस पे वो एक fake accreditation लगा हुआ है. I know the quality of that course would be useless. So I think you need to have credible accreditations when you go towards your trainings. You should be transparent about your degrees, but also understand that you don't have to put it on display.
Yeah.
Anybody except government is not liable, nor does the person has any right to ask for your any degrees. Trust me. It's your wish to tell anyone or not, but if there is a situation, please be very transparent about it, be open about it. Normally you don't even have to show those kind of proofs, but if needed, if there is CBI or something, दिखा दो भाई, कुछ नहीं जाएगा. Apart from that, I think to be credible, you need to take feedback from your clients, from other people, and not just take it, inculcate it. Be मतलब अपने क्लाइंट को समझाते हो यार कि चीजें एक्सेप्टेंस से स्टार्ट होती है तो पहले खुद में तो स्टार्ट करो. If someone comes to me and says you're not a very good relationship therapist, I am bound to get defensive on it because I know my clients are happy right now. But what if this one client is not happy? What if I missed out on something? Does that define my credibility, or does that define my whole job? Or maybe it's something that I just need to work upon. So in सब चीज़ों को keep introspecting and working on it. Telling you guys structuralism still works.
Also, I just want to add, like, therapist needs to keep this in mind that you're not gonna be a perfect fit for every client. Like, you must be credible. You must have very good issue, like number that you have client successes. But there must be that one or two clients that just don't click with you, and that's okay. So don't let your imposter syndrome tell you that you are not worth it. If you know you're credible, you're doing good work, just refer the client to someone else. Yeah.
Yeah. And now I'm going to talk about the systemic harassment structures. Basically, what I have gathered from so many movies, from so many news, this and that, about what is the psychology behind these harassers. It can come from childhood trauma, the biggest factor of all. मैं कोई हीलर या टैरो कार्ड रीडर की तरह इसको जनरेशनल ट्रॉमा, इनर चाइल्ड हीलिंग और पास्ट लाइफ रिग्रेशन ये सब नहीं बोल रही. It happens. Sometimes the environment is not good. Sometimes the environment is very traumatic, and they associate, right? बचपन हॉरर मूवीज देखी है, ये सारे भूत कहाँ से निकल रहे हैं? I think Conjuring or something like that.
बंद दरवाजा देखिए, बंद दरवाजा.
The mother used to abuse the boy. So the boy ended up being a ghost that abuses only females. That's the vengeance that's coming out. That's the projection of emotions towards the emotions towards mother being projected towards the other females. जितना भी आपने ये किडनैपिंग और जो भी कुछ देखा है, a lot of it comes from childhood trauma. Some of it comes from adulthood trauma as well. But the biggest factor that you keep in mind is that they're very, very, very intelligent. I mean, अगर वो सही जगह लगा दे ना, wow. But here, yeah, definitely they're gonna be super perfectionist about the smallest details. If they're targeting a psychologist, they're pretty much into stalking them at least for a month. वो देखेंगे कि तुम क्या कर रहे हो पूरे दिन, तुम कितने बजे क्या डाल रहे हो, and a lot of us try to put our personal lives as well on our professional pages, or sometimes our personal pages are open as well. वो देख रहे हैं यार, तुम कितने बजे खाना खा रहे हो, तुम कितने बजे क्या कर रहे हो, कॉफी पी रहे हो, कुत्ते के साथ घूम रहे हो, कुत्ते को घुमा रहे हो, क्या कर रहे हो. And then they understand what is the most vulnerable time to call you, what is the most vulnerable time to get in touch with you. And from there it's the story begins. They will go on, and then they will lay out the Amex victim card. उस पे तो बस उनसे बड़ा विक्टिम कोई नहीं हो सकता. They need desperate help. तुम्हारे बिना उनका कुछ हो नहीं सकता है. That's pretty much how they manipulate you. And then be it the first session, be it the first introductory call, or be it after few sessions, it's bound to happen. The harassment is bound to happen. The sexual violations are gonna happen. They might end up flashing you. They might end up sitting naked, whatever. So please keep that in mind. I am done with the serial killer thing now. Heena ma'am, you were talking about harassment being verbal or physical. What are some counter strategies for both of them?
Am I audible?
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you repeat that? Because my internet is glitching.
Bolo.
I'm saying, can you repeat the question?
अच्छा, You were talking about harassment in verbal and physical context. I wanted to know what are some counter strategies.
See, counter strategies are like, you, you know, when someone physically harass you, maybe at workplace, maybe uh, like, when you're in online settings and when you are like working in any scenario. So I am saying that when you recognize that thing, when you got to know, like I have heard from some fellow therapists that client was sitting half naked, right? And that is somewhere going to trigger the therapist. So there and then you have to shut them off. You have to cut off the session because that is invading boundaries and somewhere it is going to go with the physical assault. अगर वो ऑफलाइन आपके साथ प्रेजेंट होते then they are going to do that thing only because वो ऑनलाइन है so they can do the bare minimum sitting like that and the things like that when in offline setting also they are doing such things. I think being uh, provocative like उसी टाइम पे एक्शन लेना इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. डोंट थिंक अबाउट कि आप कुछ ब्रीच कर रहे हो कॉन्ट्रैक्ट. अगेन हम लोग ये बोल रहे हैं डे वन से फर्स्ट एपिसोड से इस हैरासमेंट लाइव के कि आप ये मत सोचो कि आप कोई कॉन्ट्रैक्ट ब्रीच कर रहे हो बिकॉज दे आर entering into your physical territory. Maybe they're in offline setting. You're sitting in your, counseling room, and they're trying to touch you. What you will do? I'm going to slap that guy. कोई भी हो, client भी हो चाहे, because they are not, you are not liable to take this. So take the action like you will do with any lay person. वो client है या नहीं है. React in a very provocative manner and be very vigilant about these things like they're sitting like that, the posture they are doing. Many of time in online setting, what they do is recently अभी एक experience मेरी training को हुआ है again. The way they talk like the similar kind of. He was talking on the call and the voice tells that he was involved in certain kind of activity. You know, it was
You're glitching. Can you ask the other two questions because I need to reply to someone on a.
Okay, I think we're done. But Heena ma'am, can you hold on? Can you switch to mobile network?
It's fine. I think it's time to end
Yeah.
the live. So we're gonna end and we're gonna take Hina ma'am's questions again next time. But thank you all for joining. It was lovely seeing so many reactions, so many questions. And when she asked, it sounds horrendous. Does it really happen? Yes, it does happen. I have had physical assault during my first ever internship with a psychiatrist and a psychologist together. And the psychiatrist, I don't know how, trusted me enough to counsel the person. Thank you to my skills, I would say. But he was just outside the door to be available because the girl wanted to speak to a girl itself and nobody else was available at the time. But she ended up just coming and ऐसे मेरा गला पकड़ के ऐसे घोटने लग गई थी. She was projecting her anger of mom towards me, saying that I want to kill my mom, and then suddenly it turned into I want to kill you. And all I had was सर की कोई ट्रॉफी रखी थी जो मैंने नीचे फेंक दी थी कि कोई अंदर आओ. I don't know how to react and I don't know how to stay calm also in this case.
you can't
Trust me,
you can't stay calm.
यार मेरा रिफ्लेक्स ये है कि कोई मुझ पे हाथ उठाता है ना तो ऑटोमेटिकली मेरा उस पे डिफेंस में उठ जाता है.
Yeah,
Pretty much why my
same.
mom doesn't hit me. She's like ये पलट के कुछ बोल देगी. But that is just a reflex because I
Yeah.
learned self defense for a long time during childhood. So, being a kid who's just 17 years old, that came to be horrific. Another case that I usually tell my interns is the first day at that internship, this dude comes in, keeps staring at me and asks the psychiatrist, सर मैं हफ्ते में ना XYZ बार masturbate करता हूँ, is that fine? And I am just thinking, if you're talking to sir, look at sir. I am
Yeah,
not sir.
yeah.
Then he kept on being, giving his masturbation life or sex life in detail. And I just looked at my mentor thinking, कि यार ये सब डील करना पड़ता है क्या? I thought psychology was about bipolar and schizophrenia. This is
And you're dealing here with this.
the first day itself. I was like, sir, ये कौन सी line में आ गए हम? And then my sir told me that, you know what, you're wearing a t-shirt and jeans. For some, that is still a distraction. From that day onwards, every day for my internship, I went into full suits. चुन्नी उन्नी के साथ. And that is Delhi for you guys. Imagine the smaller towns. But like today, I
I have
feel
seen
very
the
confident.
scenario. Smaller towns. Very, very
Honestly, today I
worst
feel
than
very
this.
confident कि मैंने hair color किया तो किया है. मेरी
Hmm.
अपनी एक लाइफ है. Just because you're distracted, I can put them पीछे. I can put them in a bun. But just because you feel like मेरा hair color तुम्हें attract करेगा is not why I can't live my life.
Hmm.
These are small things, but we've come to an end. Heena ma'am, next time network
Okay.
अच्छा करके आना.
I have a lot network issues and a lot to say, no? That's why. Both things can't align together.
But next time, definitely we'll talk more about
Yeah.
character defamation, emotional blackmail, and when isolation comes in the workplace, especially when it's about harassment, you try to isolate yourself,
Yeah.
or sometimes other people isolate you because you're the victim. So we're gonna talk about these things from our end. We're also gonna talk about other things about social media, breaching the boundaries, what happens in that case, what therapists should do in that case, uh, when there is manipulation of sessions going on, so on and so forth. So many topics that we have to talk about. We'll see you all next time, and thank you all for joining. And yes, we are going to post these lives on our YouTube very, very soon so that you can catch up on all the episodes. Thank you so much. See you next time.
Thank you, everyone.